What's going on, all you goblins, goofballs, and gamerinos, and welcome back to St. John's versus Southern Utah University. Thank you so much for hanging out during that break. We believe we've gotten everything fixed on our end. We're ready to wrap this series up with a nice little bow on top. I think the same says for St. John's as well, Salty. They are ready to put a 3-0 on the board tonight.
Maybe a little bit longer for them to do it than they thought they would have, as, you know, Kings Row goes a little bit long, and Ilios went the full distance of 3 rounds, so Southern Utah definitely not going away quietly. But as we do head into Coliseum, Jolton Joe is just going to be an absolute battering ram through the middle of this map. So Dolphin may not have a super fun time here, especially near the beginning.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. The Orisa should be able to box Reinhardt out at a pretty long range. Now, it is important to remember that her damage per second, well, her range was nerfed from 25 meters to only 20 before damage fall-off happens. So if Jolton Joe were to play a little bit of a distance, she'd have to worry about that. But as Jolton Joe continues just holding W right into the entirety of Southern Utah, he's feeling notably more confident at his chances of success. Boxed into the left side here is Dolphin, looking for an opportunity to find Jolton Joe early, and might, no will, be able to. Jolton Joe taken offline in Southern Utah with a first fight advantage.
Jolton Joe just gets taken out. They try to get all the way in, and Zemetics, Suzu just able to keep Dolphin alive, able to get that extra little bit of healing as well. And that'll be one of the key little differences here with Bappo on the BAP instead of that Kiriko that we've seen so much, is that it'll be a, you know, you don't have that very short term, just throw it in immortality, more that long term, hey, we need to play this corner, we need to make sure we live.
Yeah, and we got to talk about, you know, I mentioned that a lot last week as well, as so many people got used to Suzu. They forgot that Bap is still an incredibly viable character, and I think we're seeing that on the side of St. John's. Bappo playing Bap, no surprises there. Jake taken down early by that railgun. When you lose the best player on the side of your team, usually that involves holding the S key for just a little while. Compress goes down to critical HP. Zemetic as well. Both support ults online for Southern Utah. Going into this fight, Salty, what do you want to see for St. John's to flip momentum back in their favor?
I think it is still enough time for Jake to get back into the fray, and then you speed high noon, but we'll have to wait and we'll have to, you know, we'll have to see. As St. John's did stall enough. No, wall is down. Miku tries to catch out Dolphin, but they're at least able to escape for now.
Attack visor online from Asian Boy, looking for a couple of free picks, and with a Kitsune, the fire rate on that is absurd, but the shatter just a little bit larger. 2 members go down, neither of them getting back up, and St. John's 2 ultimates traded out for only 1, feeling good of their chances of being able to win this fight here. Only 3 minutes, or 2.5 minutes off the clock, and with a 20-meter discrepancy, I think St. John's is feeling very strong with their chances of taking the lead.
Just so patient during that. It's like, all right, we know it's a 4v5, just wait for Jake, and at that point, it's more just use Jake for the cleanup, Jolton Joe, knowing that, hey, there's no shield to really mess with. I can just land this shatter as whenever I want to, and that time around, it's when they try and use that Kitsune visor combo.
Yep, read the gold and clean house, and that's exactly what was done by Jolton Joe. Got that Fortify offline for Orisa and knew the shatter was a freebie. Speaking of freebies, Asian Boy down. There goes Dolphin onto the low ground. A Terra Surge into high noon from Jake to answer it back. It's a 2-for-1 trade, a 2-for-none trade, excuse me, as even Dolphin can't find anything. Zemetic takes down Jake. Too little, too late. Compress gets Reladox back up, and oh my goodness, Zemetic gives their life for the cause. Sojourn traded for Kiri, and you've got to wonder if the Sojourn can make that resurrection worthwhile, especially with no supports in her back pocket.
I sadly don't think they will. It's at least a little bit of positioning here that they can just keep on the high ground, but they will be able to get this take for St. John's, and they still have that Blizzard left. I would say, though, you got to make sure you watch out for that Javelin spin from Dolphin. He's already snatched up 1.
Hungry for 1 ultimate, looking for another, and are we going to be seeing that Blizzard come out soon, or has St. John's kind of learned from their mistakes on this? The wall would have been great, an easy Blizzard freeze just around the corner. Southern Utah wants to play it low and slow. They want to melt the Rhine shield because they know once they do, there's nowhere for St. John's to hide. Pushing through the natural architecture. The Blizzard gets killed by a railgun from Reladox. Second unsuccessful Blizzard going to be answered with an amplification matrix to boot. St. John's wants to make up for that missing player, and the overclock from Reladox makes it that much harder. St. John's University going to be going in. Oh, left shift, that's somebody off the map. Who was it? I think it was Zemetic who TP'd, Swift stepped right back in to the fray and stayed alive. It was the Kiri that went down, made their way right back into the fray, and Reladox falling. Oh, traded out by Bappo. These teams just going blow for blow continuously until Southern Utah looks like they have finally found their way out of the top.
Using that close spawn to their advantage, but definitely still a decent first push for St. John's. 85 meters, you get the first tick, and you do force out a bunch from the Thunderbirds, and now they'll try and reestablish themselves. They do have that Suzu, and not that Suzu, that Kitsune rush and visor combo, and no shatter to worry about this time around. could leave them to a nice little fight win if they can land it.
Yeah, I think we saw St. John's throwing a lot at the wall there, and unfortunately nothing was able to stick, so those ultimates down the drain, gonna have to farm a couple new ones, saving the beat, most likely trying to farm it before Attack Visor comes online, and Asian Boy loves to pop this early, wants to find a free pick into the back line. Kitsune answered out by a high noon, gonna find nothing, and it's Kitsune Visor once again. Terra Surge to boot, now it's Southern Utah throwing out everything they have. A 4K from Asian Boy makes those ultimates worthwhile, and while I think the Terra Surge wasn't worth it, you still won the fight, and that's what mattered.
You could have saved the Terra Surge. As you said, though, you want to make sure you win that fight, because you're at least getting close to a take here. There'll still be another engagement, but it gets you one step closer to at least equalizing that lead, because we know it's so hard in push when you get down to, an 80-meter deficit. It is so hard to come back from.
Yeah, it's usually when one of the teams hits about 100 meters, you can often kind of call it down and out. We usually don't see both teams going all the way to 100 meters, let alone 85. St. John's has a good numbers advantage as they take Asian Boy down early. There goes Relidox as well. That left shift accidental, and Jolton Joe holding left click and getting paid dividends for it. Happened to walk right into 3 people who all needed to be sent back to the spawn room. Dolphin can't stall long enough, and with a 20-meter deficit almost to the digit here, Salty. St. John's taking an advantage and cart control once again.
And now they have the ultimates they can kind of fall back on. They have Joey Baloney's sound barrier. I have a feeling they'll just kind of hold on to that until one of them gets low, probably Jolton Joe. And they could just use a shatter early on just to make sure Dolphin is not fortified, just to make sure they can finish off Dolphin, because they seem to be the one that's just not able to be killed very quickly in these fights.
Forward spawn activated once again for St. John's University. Are they going to be able to do much with it? Jake certainly isn't taken offline in the blink of an eye. The Shatter only finding 2, and both of them living to tell the tale. Asian Boy falls to Jolton Joe's Fire Strike, 100 damage. Relidox misses the leap, caught in the back line, looking for a spray and pray. Doesn't want to pop the overclock if they don't have to, but they've decided it is now or never. With 3.5 minutes left on the clock, they need to give their team another advantage. The longer St. John's takes to lose this fight, the harder it's going to be for Southern Utah to win the next one. Terra Surge finds Bappo. There goes Miku as well, and Dolphin should have this team in the lead once again. Jolton Joe falls, and Southern Utah throws it all out to take card advantage. 3 minutes left, 20-meter difference. Can Southern Utah win this, Salty? What do they need to do?
They need to make sure they get value just from the Kitsune Rush's fight. It was a 3-2 ultimate trade, more used actually by the Thunderbirds that time around. St. John's still have both DPS ults, but they want to try to win it here again towards mid, and they may not even need it.
Jake already takes down Zemetic. A couple of fights. Poor Jake has been the first one to fall, but finally, that vengeance is coming back into the fray. A 3-piece takes Southern Utah out today and should bring Coliseo to a close pretty soon here. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remain, but like I said, if St. John's is able to hit triple digits here, the statistics of them winning essentially triple.
Thunderbirds need to win this.
Oh, no!
And you cannot get staggered out there, and Asian Boy at least able to get out just for now. Has attack visor, but not able to fully stick.
That's a shame. You get caught out a little too early, you go a little too far forward, and you get punished for Resurrection used, but now Resurrection offline. The next elimination permanent for those 10 to 15 seconds it takes a player to return to the fight. St. John's getting danger close to an old apocalypse. Just their entire arsenal at the ready. They've hit triple digits. They've got an Amatrix online. They've got an Orisa isolated. They've got the flashbang down. They've got 2 down, and even a what is it called? Attack visor isn't going to be enough to take them down. That is going to be a clean house here. Jake dominating the DPS duel. St. John's University, they've got nearly everything to take down Southern Utah just one more time.
Both ults just canceled out by the one window and the one wall from Miku, who has not had the greatest series of their career, but that wall right there might have just sealed the series away.
That wall takes you out. Here's a high noon to boot, and even if you don't get an elim, it's all about zoning right now with the Shatter online. Oh, Zemetic couldn't find natural cover fast enough. Here's the Blizzard. Here's the Immortality Field. Here's a bloodbath with St. John's written all over it. Jake's 3-piece, 10-player kill streak to end the round and the series. St. John's University winning it out 3-0. Well, maybe the score we predicted. That was a heck of a lot closer than I think either of us anticipated.
Oh yeah, I definitely think Southern Utah at least has some good notes to bring back, like, hey, we were in this series for a lot of it. We just couldn't get it done, a lot of these close fights. I would just say it came down to St. John's being a little more picky on when they wanted to use those ultimates in the second half of that map. Yeah. And it just allowed them to make sure that, hey, we can use this next fight. And then after that, we can use this, this, and this. They had it planned out 3 fights away. And at that point, it's just so hard to come back from. Southern Utah, though, I will say, they play Bowling Green State next week. That is a very winnable game. We see them. That's actually our second game of the night is Bowling Green versus RIT. I have a feeling they'll be paying very close attention to that game because that is a very winnable game for them. And two teams that are struggling a little bit, especially here in spring with St. John's. Hey, it wasn't pretty. A win's a win, though.
A win is a win, Salty. I could not agree more. St. John's walking out with that 3-0 victory, and I'm sure Utah is sick of me saying this, but the improvement is there. Again, if they go back and watch a VOD from when we cast them 5 weeks ago, this team is looking infinite better. They are definitely getting the progress. Unfortunately, this might not be their season, but they're getting better, and that's what matters. They've still got plenty of weeks left. Like you said, BGSU coming up next week. Maybe they can win that one, but for now, that's all we've got from Southern Utah. We're going to throw it to a break here. We're either going to have an interview with St. John's or a very long break until our next game. We'll keep you updated. See you right back here in just a few. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to EGFC Overwatch. I am Septilence. That is Twin Salty. We are joined by Miku, player from St. John's DPS lineup. So my first question, a very simple one. A 3-0 victory. You know, we're still kind of in the first half of the spring split, but how is St. John's feeling with this new evolving meta?
I think we're feeling really good. I think it worked really well. I think it really came together.
Yeah.
Especially with this rush comp with the May. I struggled a little bit trying to get the walls down, but scrims and stuff are helping, starting to get it down, and came in clutch a couple of times and helped us win a couple fights, so I think it's going really well.
As a May player myself, they got better through the series. The practice is paying off. There were some very good walls in there. I liked a lot what I was seeing, and I was definitely impressed by your DPS line.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially, I think you and Jake are a perfect duo to where Jake is definitely landing the shots and you're setting everybody up so nicely, especially Jilt and Joe. How was the communication tonight? Especially, you guys lose round 2 in Ilios, and we were kind of curious on how the comms shifted from there because over on Lighthouse, you guys look so clean.
Yeah, so I really think that mechanically and conceptually, we're a really, really good team, and we struggle sometimes with the communication, which is something we're really working on. A lot of times, especially when we start losing, people get tilted. Comms tend to get kind of cluttered, but I think after that second point, we lost that. We kind of reset and, got everything back into order, and we're able to get things back in, how they should be, and so it worked out in the end.
Yeah, obviously so, nice little 3-0 to start the weekend off. What is your team looking at this season? What is your goal, especially, we're about halfway through the spring split now. What are your guys' goals for the rest of the split heading into playoffs?
Just trying to win as much as we can. And, I'm here. I'm pretty new on the team. I just started this semester, so, I'm just trying to adjust and get with this team and see how we play and everything and just get better as we keep going on. And I think that, we have a really good team here, a lot of talent, and just brush up a couple of things, and we could be a really, really good, really big threat.
Yeah, absolutely. If y'all keep playing like that, threat is the name of the game for St. John's. One more question for you. We'll let you hit the road, my friend. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to just while you're here with us?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my mom. I think she's watching the stream right now.
Yeah!
Yeah, I don't think she understands anything that's going on, but I'm just happy that she's here.
Oh, you love it. Well, hey, big congrats. Best of luck on the rest of the season.
All right, thank you. You have a good one.
Thank you. You as
Thank
well.
you.
And with that, folks, we're going to go ahead and throw it to a pretty elongated break. We have our last matchup of the day, RIT versus BGSU, slated to start at 9:10 p.m. Eastern. It is 7:41 Eastern, so we've got quite a while, but we'll see you right back here around 9:10ish. Until then, you know, go get a meal or something. We'll come right back here for some more EGFC in just a bit. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the EGFC Overwatch 2 once again. I'm Septilence, that's Twin Salty, and this is our second and final series of the night. It was a long break, but the break is over, and now we are back Bowling Green State University against RIT. And Salty, we talked about this a little bit in the green room. Both these teams coming in with something to prove here.
Exactly. You know, RIT is kind of in that mid-table slot to where we're trying to figure out, are they the real deal? And I think we're slowly going to that direction, especially after last week. You know, they played extremely well. Bowling Green's kind of in a spot to where they're in that middle ground-ish. They're, I'd say, a tiny bit lower than RIT. They have not had the greatest season, but we've seen just very few glimpses of what this team can do. So maybe this is the meta to actually show that fully.
Yeah, glimmers of hope for Bowling Green we've seen so far with the meta changing. This is the first time we've seen them since the meta has changed, so hopefully it's worked out well for them. I believe they lost last week, but I'm not positive. Don't take that to heart or anything. RIT looking for this win as well. I couldn't have said it better, Salty. Both teams in the middle of the pack right now. One of them looking to go up, one looking to go down, and I think today separates the goods from the greats here. One of these teams is going to continue moving on, momentum in their favor, and the other going to have to go back to the drawing board. The map pool is the same as it's been all day today. It's going to be a pretty good one, honestly. Usually I'm pretty picky. 2 or 3 maps I'm like not excited about, but this map pool is super strong. Starting on Ilios, it's a guaranteed map. We saw all 3 stages earlier. Jumping over to King's Row, and then our final guaranteed map is Coliseo, which we have not been able to make it past today. If we do, we'll go over to one of my favorites, Circuit Royale, followed by, not TBD, that will be Antarctic Peninsula. We just don't have that map picture yet.
Yeah, just a little bit too new for us quite yet. I'll have to wait. We'll see, though, if we actually get to that. Bowling Green entering 4 and 6. RIT 6 and 5, and both of them did sweep their opponents last week. So both with the hot hand going in. Bowling Green swept Villanova. RIT swept a Marquette team that we thought could have challenged them a little bit, but they swept them pretty fast. So I want to see RIT have that same energy today. Be like, okay, this is where we need to shine against teams that are similar record to us. For Bowling Green, hey, punch above your weight yet again and showcase that we could be a team that could slip into the playoff picture.
Yeah, it feels like Bowling Green has week after week found themselves just kind of punching up, finding themselves back against the wall. The team they're up against is statistically a better team that we've seen so far, but like you mentioned earlier, and I couldn't agree more, Bowling Green has shown signs of life in a lot of very important ways. They've actually given us the fastest push map we've seen so far this season. They had a lot of great dominance there, and I believe it was New Queen Street that happened on Coliseo, a notably different push map that we'll end up on eventually. But while we're waiting for the players and the teams to get ready up, Salty, going into Ilios, we saw some team comps earlier. Did you like them? And if not, what do you want to see differently?
I think we'll see a lot more of the Winston overall in this series. I don't know. I think Winston, as we kind of said in the first series, is a pick right now that it can work. Like, if you play around it a certain way, it definitely can work, but there's usually better options. Ilios is one of those few things to where, okay, the Winston may actually be one of the better picks, especially over on Well. It's a lot. You need a lot of movement and not just to traverse and try and dive those long range hit scans that are going to try and separate your team out. So I don't think it's a horrible idea from either of these teams to run the Winston if they do choose, and it will be Lighthouse first. And at least so far, we see it over from Nightmare, Mickey going over to the Rhine. That pretty standard rush comp that we've seen more and more of as of late, and the exact same thing that St. John's won in their victory just a little bit ago.
Yeah, St. John's ran a very similar team composition. They were able to win. They did take Ilios in a 2-1 fashion. Maybe RIT wants to do that a little faster. Bowling Green couldn't have said it better, coming out with a pretty expected team composition here. Maybe Crazy goes for something off kilter, but a Sojourn, yep, would be the character expected to be played. RIT making it a much closer quarters combat, which I think is going to negate the Winston a lot here. It's going to force out an early Suzu, early speed boost, just to keep that tank alive against a hammer like Reinhardt's. Immediately, Nightmare falls onto the low ground. Nautilus following them, trying to get the off angle to RIT, and with a Disruptor field on site, it separates Minky from the rest of the clan. Is RIT going to be able to keep that Reinhardt up and running? Or can BGSU put that first elimination down early? There goes Immortality Field. There goes Genji. Echo taken offline by what is easily a fair ability in this game. Guaranteed 150 damage from Cassidy's flash has given RIT the opening they need to find success. Minky pins Nautilus to the wall and takes them back to the spawn room. RIT should have fight number 1, and that's gotta be it. Fight number 1 in favor of Rochester.
So, I mean, Skomo is just going to be using Minky as an ult magnet because Minky is just going to take so much damage. Maybe not as much now, though, as Echo shifts over to the Cassidy themselves. Nightmare matches the Rhine, so a bit more. Their shield just getting broke 24/7 by these 2 hit scans on Bowling Green.
Minky taking a lot of damage here, falls out of the Immortality Field, tries to get back to the supports, and is able to do so. Nautilus picked before the fight can even really begin. RIT finding arguably the most important elimination. Reinhardt's value plummets without a Lucio in his back pocket to keep him up and running, or, you know, there's a Kitsune. The speed boost is the important part, that's what I'm trying to say. An amazing shot from Foliage onto Echo, and now BGSU holding S and trying to recontest as fast as possible. RIT about halfway done with stage number 1.
Beautiful boop there from the Storm's Eye just to knock Echo down, and Foliage able to link up the shots later on. We have yet to see an actual ult being used here.
That's crazy.
And I do think it'll be at least something this fight. The Shatter's ready from Minky. I have a feeling they'll be trying to use it pretty quickly here as soon as BGSU try and drop.
BGSU going for the drop, and you have to give up a lot of ult charge when you swap from the Winston onto the Reinhardt. Suzu out early, the Storm's Eye drops the beat to keep the team safe, and Echo's just going to be able to use that as a reload. High Noon not able to find anything. Skomo puts him down. Nightmare not far behind, and Skomo giving us some great supportal combat here, keeping the door open for RIT, and with only 30 seconds left on the clock, RIT feeling strong against Bowling Green on Ilios.
Feeling great about themselves. 2 for 2 ult trade goes in their favor. Still has that Blizzard. At this point, it'll probably just be used more just to delay and try and deny a touch from BGSU onto the point. And you got to think Nightmare has in the back of their head, hey, I need to A, block Minky, but also hit mine when I get mine in 10%.
There's that Shatter blocked out by Nightmare there. The Blizzard, though, going to be forced. Suzu, Tritz trying to touch the point. Karma's missing. High Noon takes out Nautilus with no supports online. Can these ultimates for BG be enough? Maybe they could have been, but you forgot to touch the point, and that's what this map type is all about. BGSU lets stage number 1 slip away. RIT 100-0. Feeling pretty good about their odds. If Ruins comes up next, this might be a 2-0, but if it's well, the story could be different. This is Minky's playground right here, Salty.
Minky may have the time of their lives here. I do think that fight still goes in the favor of RIT. They are able to take off both Modulus and Karma, but you never know. Like, at least Nightmare did hit the Shatter, and they blocked Minky's, so they at least had the beginning of that start that they needed, just not the finishing blow. And RIT, even though we thought, hey, this is where they're going to run the Reinhardt, they actually shift over to the ball comp we've been seeing a little bit here and there with the Brig and Zen. Frost has been playing just pretty far and out. Foliage be linked to Minky during a lot of these engagements with that Discord orb from Storm's Eye.
I was talking about this earlier when you DC'd, Salty, how I just hit Masters for the first time on PC, and Brig has a lot to do with that. She's a very strong character right now and can get an insane amount of value. The whip shot is incredible, the shield burst as well. It doesn't get the stun that it used to, but it's very helpful at keeping somebody down. Now, Bowling Green's Echo bringing out that Mei. It makes this a really easy composition for BG to win with. Minky gets incredible, or minimal value, rather. 20% slow speed when the primary fire from Mei is finding purchase, and then the Wrecking Ball falls. That gives the opposing team a lot of opening. Foliage farms 70% of that Pulse Bomb, but as 2 members have now fallen, I think RIT needs to take it back to the drawing board and try to start over fresh.
Just try and survive at this point.
Right.
And get on out. Foliage could at least, you know, with their high survivability, go for a little bit more of an ult charge, but Minky again just taken out. The peel is superb so far from the BGSU backline. I have a feeling Minky's got to swap at this point, but they won't. They'll stick on it for now. And especially with that Mei in play, like you said, that, you know, speed reduction as well. it gives enough time for the nade and the sleep to be hit.
Exactly. It's just CC after CC right now, and with Nightmare on the Reinhardt, he's gonna have a field day. When there's not a tank in the front line, Reinhardt really gets a lot of value from it. Oh, that could be the Storm's Eye down already, but instead, Nightmare a little bit overzealous, takes a railgun, and BG loses their first player of this round. Crazy Chicken met in the back line, and alright, he's sticking to the Wrecking Ball. They know what they want to work with, they know how they're gonna try and make it work, and somehow, some way, alright, winning another fight, phenomenally done, but BG got half of this stage done, Salty. RIT cannot let that happen again.
They definitely cannot. Nightmare going over to the D.Va now, trying for a little more peel for their backline, realizing that, hey, if I'm trying to push in as Ryan, if my supports are just trying to keep each other alive in the back, I'm going to die very quickly. And Frost, nice shots actually from Lodulus and Crazy Chicken, gives them the early advantage.
Early advantage online now for BGSU, and with Frost falling, at least you can make it back to the fight semi-quickly. I'm looking at Foliage here in an attempt to find a Pulse Bomb, take somebody down earlier at least, force out Immortality Field before throwing said Pulse. Wow, 180 headshot from Chicken there, but it will give their life for the cause. 2 support ultimates coming out from BG, and they're still winning the fight. Okay, I was going to say barely, but then they really took dominance. So Echo finds ScoMo, the Storm's Eye gone. And with Brig Zen, there's just that natural understanding, Salty, of your team running the lowest healing composition in the game.
You have to play very much spread out and very picky on those engages. Because sustain-wise, BGSU has the healing advantage all day long.
It actually might be Lucio's Zen, but this is one of the lowest.
It's got to be the lowest.
Yeah.
More single target healing more than AoE.
Very true.
But it can definitely work if they play it right.
Oh! A lot of this is going to be able to survive, and no longer as the Storm's Eye takes him down. Blizzard comes out from Echo. It's a little bit desperate, but I think it makes sense. 20 seconds left. You find a pick. That gives your team the numbers advantage you'd need for success. Nightmare has to abandon it all. Throws the bomb on site. Karma missing. Nobody picked up by the bomb, but a full mech could be in the pocket. Absolutely not. Amazing play from Storm's Eye to keep that D.Va out of mech. The D.Va swap is, I'm not going to lie, a fascinating one, but I don't think I'm particularly fond of, but maybe it's a comfort pick for Nightmare.
Keep going, Matt. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. Maybe it's in an attempt to take down the overclock. That's kind of my primary assumption, is maybe we're looking for the overclock to get a little bit of value, or to negate said value, excuse me. RIT's 3 ultimates online. High Noon been used as a tactical reload every time we've seen it so far. Minky into the front line. Wall goes up, but Nautilus goes down. Immortality Field missing from that Disruptor Field as well. Nightmare took down Foliage, but at what cost of both your supports? And on D.Va, you do not have any personal heal. You cannot be pushing in with nothing in your pocket. Crazy Chicken's flash is going to whiff just a bit there, and this buys a lot of time for RIT. 3 ultimates locked and loaded. Pulse Bomb just around the corner. Fastest charging ult in the game. Already only 18% away. They've just got to make sure that both Overclock and Pulse Bomb do not get eaten by Nightmare. Overclock comes out first, and the eat is incredible. Takes down 3 shots out the gate, and Nightmare just keeping it as far away as possible. Pile drive into Minefield separates the team, but isn't able to find any eliminations. Has it bought RIT the time they need, and Nightmare falls out of mech, falls out of the world, and sent back to the spawn room. It's a bloodbath for Rochester. That's going to be a clean rally into this room, and it's tiny Overwatch for RIT to come out on top. Rochester taking Ilios in a 2-0 fashion. Not the 2-0 I expected, but a 2-0 nonetheless. Incredibly well done, and a great example of this team being able to run more than one team comp.
They look so much cleaner over there on Ruin, especially when they settled in. It took them a few fights to figure out how they wanted to play around the BAP on a support line, because it's not traditional by any means, and what a nice little pulse there for Foliage. My goodness.
Seriously. The
but
timing
seriously,
was very nice.
It was a nice little adaptation from them just to sort of like, hey, hold on to the support ultimates. They didn't use them until the very end. They didn't even have to use the Transcendence. They didn't need to. They were kind of waiting to see, hey, are they going to use Blizzard again? Are they, build up one of these ultimates that we needed for in reality? Didn't really need it. You just used the rally to kind of finish it off, as you said. Turn into tiny Overwatch V2 in that small corridor and able to clean it up. But I do think we should have a ride me ride on Kings Row. Both teams have already shown it. So now I want to see who's going to give them more support on the tank. And honestly, I slight edge maybe to at least the DPS line for BGSU, because they've been wanting to run the Mei, and that could go more into an effect on a map that's a little bit more narrow.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think Mei is going to be a pick here, at least for Bowling Green. We saw it from Miku earlier on the side of team that we saw, who I'm blanking on for some reason. But
we saw it a little bit from St. John's, yeah.
That's what it was, St. John's, thank you. Yeah, so St. John's, they brought out the Mei here earlier on Kings Row, and BG's already brought it out on Ilios, a map we don't normally see Mei, but one they definitely want to. We're actually getting a substitution for Bowling Green as well. Okay. Evan BP subbed in for Nautilus here, so that is going to be the Ana / I think Lucio.
I think they were started main support And then I think they're primary main support. So
Yeah,
I'm sure
A support. Swap out for Evan
maybe
at the
they
very
want
least.
to try and just Lucio now. Maybe they always thought they were going to shift to the Ana at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes. Maybe once we get into the lobby, we might be able to see what their plan is. But I don't think it's too far out of reach for Bowling Green. Like,
I don't
it's
think so
more
at all.
just some of these fights. As soon as RIT settled into this ball comp, they just never were able to get in. In that one fight, they were able to get that opening pickoff on the Frost. They just couldn't capitalize on it. So the potential's there, especially on a map like this, where the snowball effect is so real. Without
a doubt. Without a doubt. We're also getting a side swap as well, which is always weird going from control because there are no sides. But y'all see what we mean when we get in there. And Salty, I'm not saying BGSU never has gone to a map 4 or plus, but I'm saying every time we've seen them, at least, it has been they 3-0 or they get 3-0'd. And that's kind of been the pattern so far. I'd like to see that curse break going into our second map of the series, which you mentioned. Going to be King's Row. This is the collegiate classic map of Overwatch. Every collegiate team, probably every player you've ever met in your whole life has played this map hundreds, thousands of times maybe, and it comes down to raw mechanical understanding. There's not a lot to this map that you can do new or that you can do different. There are win conditions set, and it's all about which one of those teams can find that win condition with less ease or with more ease than their opponents.
And don't go for plays that could backfire massively. That
don't
is the
take
only
over
thing
a
I will
minute
say
to take
for
the first
BGSU.
fight.
Yes. Especially with the current meta that we are at, you're not going to have, more than likely at least, a Widow set up,
right,
you know, in the back left of the map, and Ana might be chilling up there as well. You're probably not going to see that. Everybody's mainly going to be on the main floor, if not just in the elevated surface behind statues. So it's not really worth it to try and go all the way around, especially with BGSU not even running a hit scan currently. They will be on the May as we expected, and the Joker actually getting a little bit of play, I think, to try and deal with Minky a lot more.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. This is an anti-Rhine composition on the side of BGSU, and when you run anti-Rhine with the Rhine, your Rhine can get away with a lot more. Rochester taking some notes from BG, bringing out a May of their own. Foliage going to try to close that gap a little bit, but with the Junkrat, even with his most recent concussion mine nerf, he still gets a lot of value here, and is going to be able to spam those nades quite a bit. RIT breaking through the choke in an instant. We hear the flashbang come out, not able to find an elimination, but Nightmare getting melted here. Immortality Field has to come out for BGSU, and it's eliminated by the Storm's Eye in the very same breath. I'm not sure Nightmare's going to be able to live much longer, and they certainly are not. The tank has fallen, the May not far behind, and RIT just steamrolling through BGSU for this primary fight. Crazy Chicken gets one, but I think you're going to need quite a few more to turn that fight around. Foliage on the May just leads the charge in an incredibly dominant fashion.
Just, even though they are the least amount of ult charge on their team, the wall is what set that up. Like,
yes,
the wall
without a doubt.
just makes everything so much better in that fight. They're able to pick up Nightmare, even with the Immortality Field, not able to save them, and it gives them that very quick first fight win, and now they can start going to Archway, and Frost has already got the opening pick.
Frost is already in the back line of BGSU. It's Evans, I believe, EGF debut, but I'm not positive. We've never seen them before, but unfortunately, they haven't been able to play the game very much as Rochester just has that Lucio's number, as they rightfully should. You take out Lucio, and Ryan really plummets in terms of value. I can't stress that enough. Without that additional speed, he really just becomes a bullet magnet. BGSU going all the way back to spawn, trying to recontest as a full group, but RIT chasing them into the wings. They smell this Baptiste, and they're going to look for him. Not the flashbang! Karma, no! Karma goes down to that super fair and reasonable ability from Cassidy. RIT all the way in BG's spawn right now.
And as you said, especially with Evan being the first pick, and RT running the Lucio as well, it is just that impact on steroids, because Nightmare, there's nothing you can do. The only thing that you may be able to do is like 180 and try and pin out, but at that point, Foliage will try and put the May wall down, and at that point, you're even more screwed.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's like, yeah, you try to pin out, but then all of a sudden, you're completely vulnerable and the enemy team is right behind you. You're going to take a lot of damage, probably more than you want to. Amplification Matrix from Karma falls a little further back than I would have liked, but it looks like BG uses the space and is still going to be able to get a little bit of value off of it. Echo's gone down, Immortality Field's offline, Nightmare waiting to slam, perfect block from Minky, separates BG once again in this fight. Blizzard comes out from Foliage, High Noon from Crazy Chicken, a desperate attempt to find an Elim, but ScoMo's supportal combat cannot be enough! Chicken shatters the shield, takes down 4 of their own, and guarantees a fight win for Bowling Green. That is the threat. No, sorry, that's a full TK from BGSU's Crazy Chicken. That is the threat of a High Noon. If you leave it too long, it's going to cost you your life.
Mickey was saying, oh, you know, I can block it, and just sadly, the first shot was not his to take. So the first shot breaks the shield, the rest go on through, and hey, credit to Crazy Chicken as well. They're able to finish off the last 2. and at least stabilize here for BGSU. And now they can just hold the end of this alleyway. They do only have that stun barrier, though, to try and deal with the shatter from Minky if it does land.
There's also some confidence included in holding a high noon right in front of an enemy Reinhardt. I mean, it paid off to take that gamble. You're able to find a 5K off of it, and now as Nightmare's gone down, I think Minky just looking for those guarantee limbs, wants to take down as many as they can, buy themselves the space they need for success. Echo falls in the back line, the Lucio desperate to touch, but Evan gonna get staggered for it. Does not have the speed boost or the healing to stay up and running. Left shift in, whiffs the shot, catches the nade, and Minky, probably time to show yourself back to your team.
Corner, you deny the close hold, at least for now. You know, BGSU has to regroup. Evan still has a stun barrier online, never able to actually use it just because of the quick pick.
Sound barrier for Evan could be huge. I feel like Evan's holding it for Shatter. That almost works out well for RIT because then you can use the rest of your damage dealing ultimates and not have to worry about that beat coming online. Immortality Field can't outlive a Blizzard, can't outlive a whole lot of things. The wall goes up. They try to boost Frost onto the high ground, but just can't find what they want. Another high noon from Crazy Chicken, and it looks like RIT has learned their lesson. They're gonna drop the beat in a desperate attempt to keep the team alive, and alive they shall be this time. High noon, an ultimate that rarely gets any elims, let alone all 5. Crazy Chicken opens the floodgates once again. Evan gonna be traded out with an incredible spawn advantage. BG not worried about their numbers quite yet. Skomo finds Nightmare. Crazy Chicken tries to find the Storm Side, but when they look away, the rest of the team is obliterated. Look, oh my goodness, a lot of damage onto this Rhyme, but Minky, luckily enough, has the support. Oh, Crazy Chicken staggered. Frost goes down to Karma and the left shift back into the fight. Somebody's got to stay on card because Evan is costing you a lot more time than he meant to. Another recontest from Nightmare. Is this the beginning of a delayed inevitability? Can they win this in fruition? But if Minky goes down, that's the beginning of a real possibility of winning the team fight. Shield blocked once again. Blizzard from Foliage should all but win the fight here for RIT. Skomo takes out Nightmare. Karma desperate to keep the team up and running. Has to swift step into the backline. Suzu no longer online. And with a high ground advantage, you've got to wonder if she can do enough to keep the team alive. Unfortunately, the damage from Minky just too strong. Another Shatter locked and loaded. 3:04 on the clock. And RIT have set their win condition, Salty.
Skomo canceled Echo's Blizzard. And that could have been where BGSU slowly claw their way back, but they get killed during the animation. It does not go down. The cooldown is used. And at that point, RRT is sitting pretty because they know the one ultimate that could have forced them off point and could have split them up. And BGSU at that point were all together in one spot, just gets deleted off the battlefield, and RRT able to clean it up from there. And honestly, Foliage dying early.
Yep.
Almost helped them because then they had the Blizzard for the re-engage that came in later from BGSU. And this is what we talked about. The snowball effect can be real on this map if you do not know how to stop it. And sadly, that time around, BGSU just not able to stop it, at least for a while. They eventually got their footing, but you know, they had how much time? Like 4.5 minutes going into final phase. That is just ridiculous. Yeah, and it's funny to call it the snowball effect when there's a May being run on both sides. A little bit of a giggle there. But the value from RIT was definitely impressive. And Skomo, I don't know if their non-sponsored Gamer Liquid has kicked in or something, but kid's been a maniac all day. I might have the most elims on the team. I really don't know. But every time a fight is like, you know, those scales are tipping, Skomo tips them right back. Finds a 2, 3, 4 piece so far, and if nobody's looking at the Baptiste, it's just supportal combat all day long. It is very hard to try and deal with it, especially when you have a supportal combat just running as it is, you know. It can be a very tough thing to deal with. So now, Bowling Green running the same thing. RIT using the same thing as well. Just going for the good old-fashioned mirror matchup. All of these players have gotten value. I don't think BGSU lost due to their team composition. I think this is the team comp to be playing, and let's see how much they can really get done with it. At the end of the day, we hear the flashbang come out early onto the shield of Minky, but the team is there to keep them up and running. Frost might be able to find that first Elam at the very least, has forced out Immortality Field, and poor Karma just can't get out of the way fast enough. Lucky for BG though, Stormside gets traded out in that same breath. These two supports should be returning around the same time, and it's up to the remaining members to keep their team up and running. Goodbye Minky, goodbye Foliage. Nightmare has fallen. Can Skomo do enough? Has Amp Matrix online, but I doubt we're going to be seeing it. Echo finds it. Frost with a 2K of their own. It is a DPS 1v1 right now, Salty. Oh, Stormside's back. Not a Blizzard, no way! Oh, the Blizzard gets thrown in as well.
Oh.
Enough though, Karma's able to pick up one before they're taken out, but I think it's been enough time for RIT to at least settle in. Bowling Green, smartly, just going to try and re-engage with Karma. Without your main source of healing, you can't push in. And that Blizzard at the end, that was a bit I get it. You want
was
to
a
win the fight
panic
there
ult.
and then, but yeah, that was definitely a panic ult. And now
That
Foley
is-
is just getting very close to their own.
I don't want to call that a critical blunder, Salty, but holy cow. I mean, it was definitely a panic ult, one that BG really needed to get in. They needed that space. The Ryan shield gets melted. Immortality field disappears in an instant. It was up to that Blizzard to make the space for BG to get in. Now when they wait out the Ant Matrix, they're burning even more time. They're down to 2.5 minutes already, 90 seconds gone. It's going to be up to these other ultimates to make some space. Shatter is just around the corner. They've got an Ant Matrix and a High Noon of their own. Ross can't find any elims, but finds a lot of great space. Ant Matrix, High Noon. I love the combination, but unfortunately, there's nothing there to keep it up and running. The spacing was available, and here we go. Crazy Chicken, a maniac with this hit scan so far. This is the value that Echo was looking for earlier. They forced the beat out from Evan. The Blizzard makes the space they need, and it gives them the numbers advantage all over again. Echo has fallen 70% to a second Blizzard. Foliage creating space on site, and until that tank gets back, it's about burning as long as you can. The candle, though, may be snuffed out by BGSU. Takes 2.5 minutes, but I'm a firm believer in the phrase, better late than never, and it might not even be yet. The shatter is huge, and a little bit of an overextension is going to be found in Minky. Drops an Earth Shatter, not able to find anybody, but nobody goes down to either of them. Minky taken out by Nightmare, both Immortality Fields offline. Evan traded out by Frost, and as the High Noon forces BGSU back around the corner once again. You've bought your team so much time on the side of Rochester. The High Noon, very similar to the Blizzard from earlier. I don't think I loved it, but you're trying to make it work, and we've got to respect you for that.
Can they touch at this point? No. Yeah.
No, you gotta, yeah.
So, well, they were gonna get out, but that second wall tells them no. BGSU, not the cleanest, but able to squeak it on through. As you said, the Deadeye from Frost, I get it. But I think even if you wait like a second more, you're able to get a little bit more with that. Or even just hold the shot. Because at that point, I think Nightmare's shield broke as he was warming it up, but they just got around corner. But why not hold it for an extra 2 seconds? Give your team a little bit more time to get back into the action. But now RIT, because of how late that fight went, not able to hold Arch. They'll have to hold late alleyway here with BGSU having the Blizzard online, ready to go.
Here comes Amplification Matrix. Putting the Blizzard through Amp Matrix does boost the damage of Blizzard, but I doubt they want to be combining those ultimates for a myriad of reasons, and clearly they don't need them. Amp Matrix alone, the garage door opened up. All of a sudden, nobody from RIT is home, deleted by BGSU, and here's another great example of that snowball effect on this map. The second your team loses momentum, it can be very difficult to climb that hill and try to take it back. This might be a second point cap for BG, Salty. I'm not sure RIT is going to recontest.
It looks like Minky's at least positioning for it. They should be able to at least get a touch here. It's more the quality of the touch. Scomo's window should be the opener.
Waiting for the Amplification Matrix now at Blizzard just around the corner as well. You're getting danger close though in the Blizzard from Echo. Crazy Chicken popping High Noon as well. I would have liked to see just one of those ultimates instead of two, but you kept the point, and that's what matters. We cannot be too critical. 4 minutes on the clock for BGSU right now. They've still got Shatter, they've got a beat, and they've got plenty of time to try and make this work. The staggers are non-existent as Rochester is removed from this mortal coil and sent back to that spawn room once again. Something's got to change, or BG is going to beat them at their own game.
BG is definitely having a better ult cycle than they did on their defense, especially. They're making sure, hey, we only use 1 or 2 a fight if need be. That time around, it was 2 for a previous fight. It was just the window, and now they can rely on this shadow from this shatter from Nightmare, which granted, both Ryan's have actually been doing a good job of blocking them so far.
Yeah, very much. I think we've seen one successful shatter from both of them, and neither of them found an elimination with said shatter. It's been a very back and forth cat and mouse game. Minky gets an elimination, but gives their own life for it. Didn't turn around, and Karma just farmed a whole bunch of Amp Matrix off of him. Unfortunately, not able to use it in this combat. Crazy Chicken, dodge rolling out of there. The 1v1, neither of them brave enough to fight that final bullet, but that is absolutely a fight win for Rochester. They've burned a lot of time off the clock, guaranteed more time than BG if BG can cap third at all. This is considered by many one of the hardest points in the entire game to cap once you lose momentum.
They at least have the tools to bring it back. They'll have almost everything except the sound barrier. What? RT trying to hold close.
Oh, a little bit of tiny Overwatch going on. High Noon is going to be boxed out. You're trying to get through the wall, and can't find Evan. Just barely runs out of time. Immortality Field from Karma offline. The Shatter blocked once again. These two just cannot land it, but finally, Nightmare gets one. Crazy Chicken with the cleanup crew, and 2 members have gone down on the side of RIT. Nightmare gives their life for the cause, but I think that's worth it. You've bought your team a lot of space, and you've given them an opportunity to prepare for final fight. A Blizzard at the ready, Salty. They could do this in a single fight.
I don't know if the touch is even going to come through here from RT. It seems like Minky should be able to go, but as
there
you
it
said,
is.
Blizzard can just be used to deny.
Wait, what? Why wouldn't you Blizzard the cart? Okay, it's working. I can't be too critical. It's working, and it looks like they're going to be able to find maybe 2 eliminations. Foliage has gone down. Ant Matrix from Scomo is going to be able to find a little bit of value. Frost with a 2K. 2v2 eliminations here. Nightmare might be the last one standing. It's up to Scomo to be the hero. 1 has fallen. 2 still stand with exactly 100 seconds on the clock. Bowling Green caps that 3rd point. This is why it's called Scrims Row, folks. We are going all the way to those extra rounds.
Man, we love some extra Overwatch.
Always.
It is just, it's perfect. And I think BGSU found their comfort level a little bit. It seemed like on the defense, they were very hesitant. RIT was always the one to aggress that time around. They were the aggressors a lot of the time. Crazy Chicken's turning it on now.
Absolutely.
It seemed like they have turned the switch.
After that 5K, just
After
uphill
the 5K,
from there.
Yeah, that is the definition of confidence booster right there. So they will be able to push first here since they had the lower time bank. If I'm saying a goal here, if you can at least cap first and get through Archway,
Yep.
it is a very doable
To get
situation.
right about where we are right now, I think, with the camera. I think that is the win condition, to get right on the corner of this bookshop, because you've set a win condition in its entirety. It took RIT, I think, maybe 2 minutes to get here last time, but BG has clearly stepped it up a lot. Nightmare improved, I mean, in dividends here. Crazy Chicken hitting every shot every time we spectate them. It's about BG getting great value as fast as they can, but they've got to take a page out of RIT's book here, Salty. They've got to go in with speed and with confidence, because the second they hold, that's when they're going to lose it. It took them, I think, 2+ minutes to cap last time. They do not have the space to do that this time. It's got to be a first fight win.
Has to be this first fight. I think whoever wins this first fight and does a better job in this half of the OT, who gets his first wall down first to actually get value.
The wall goes up early, and Nightmare is going to be boxed out in Overwatch 1 maneuver if I've ever seen it, but the elimination does not come to fruition. Close, never going to cut it. Immortality Field from Karma keeps Nightmare up and running, and that MO worth its weight in gold there. If your Rhine goes down, that's 15 seconds down the drain. Foliage ult fire there is going to be able to find a couple of headshots. Oh, that's the wall they're looking for, but it's a... Wow! Incredible from Bowling Green to destroy that wall in an instant. There was no time to breathe, but unfortunately, it's still not going to be enough to give them the numbers they need. Incredible headshot from Frost. The rest of RIT there to clean it up, and with only 60 seconds left, no ultimates on the horizon for BG. They've got to win this next fight high and dry, because this next one very well may be their last.
Frost went on the flank on the opposite side of Statue, picks up Karma before they're even able to throw down the lamp to try and save Nightmare, and the cards just fall from there, and BGSU at this point nowhere even close to an ultimate. Maybe an Ant Matrix from Karma, but that's really about it.
Maybe an Ant Matrix, maybe a Shatter if you get all the way in there. Certainly not a High Noon when that 150 flashbang takes Crazy Chicken right back to that spawn door. The walls go up, the MOs come down, and Karma, like a domino, will fall. The rest of BG should not be far behind, and there's a very, I hate to call it silver lining, but there's 20 seconds left. You can touch that point within 20 seconds. The only downside, you were walking into 5 full ultimates.
You need Evan to build up the sound barrier. I think just to engage, you can't use it
just to survive some of these ults.
Yeah, you need it just to make sure you can touch and get time for the rest of those ults. But Frost again!
Oh my god, Frost. The wall goes up, they're boxed out, the Shatter comes down, it's a whiff, but it might matter. Karma's gone, Evan has fallen, the Blizzard out from Foliage has to be the nail in the coffin, and RIT, their win condition has been set. BG keeping it close, but close only going to count in horseshoes and hand grenades. RIT, 3 minutes to cap 33% of that first point.
Minky, we'll forget about the Shatter because you did good the rest of the OT. I get what they were trying to do. I think they had amp speed, though, going around Statue, so they whipped around that thing, and by the time he actually tried to flank and hit the Shatter, nobody was home. So
yeah, a little late.
Still, a very good defense from RIT. Every time they got to choke, tried to put the wall down. Even if the counter wall went through, they were already there. The value was there, and Frost was always on the flank, looking for either Crazy Chicken or Karma in almost every single fight, able to lock down one of those targets. So now pressure's on BGSU just to try and at least get a draw out of this map.
Yeah, I've got a crazy respect for anybody willingly playing Cassidy, because I just can't do it. Like, I'm not usually a hit scan guy, but when I am, Cassidy's never even on the table for me. It's Ashe, or it's Soldier. For whatever reason, I cannot make this cowboy do his rootin' tootin' little job. And Crazy Chicken and Frost have been tearing it up left, right, and center so far. They have both been on their absolute S-tier game, and now it's up to BG to give us the stall of a lifetime. It's going to be really difficult. RIT capped first point in, I think, a little over 30 seconds with their primary offense, and going into 3 minutes on the clock, only need a third of that. This could be half a fight and over.
It may be very quick. Depending if they have the same kind of start they did on their offense, we could be going to a break very quickly here. But we'll have to wait and see. BGS2 obviously know that a very fast push is a possibility again.
I'm surprised to not see a teleporter here, or like a Symmetra play, kind of catching them off guard, going into the back line as fast as possible. But as Frost take down Evan already, that poor Ana can't do a darn tootin' thing. First one eliminated for several fights throughout this map, and it just puts a nail in the coffin for Bowling Green. Nightmare gone. That should be RIT winning this fight in completion. Took them about 30 seconds once again, but by golly, is it done. Rochester dominating. Kings Row a little closer than they may have wanted, but doesn't matter about close when you're still coming out on top. No recontest. RIT going up 2-0 on the series. Only one map remains.
It looks the same in the score sheet. That's all that the Tigers are really going to care about at this point. Play the game. It's got to be the 5K, right?
Got to be the 5K, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Like, you got to think it's the 5K from Crazy Chicken. I would like to see BJSU play around Crazy Chicken more.
I
They
agree.
get inside the shield. They didn't even break the shield.
Walked right through it. So that might be a mistake on Minky's part, you've got to wonder.
Yeah, they got a little too close to the, hey, do not touch sign, it seemed like. Like, just got that hair a bit too close. But, hey, RIT able to lock down the second map. And, you know, looking at third map with it being Coliseo, it definitely leans into the hit scan role a little bit more.
Yes.
There's such long sight lines. We even see Widows on this map here and there, especially in that first point. So I want to see them kind of bank into that a little bit more. And I think that, honestly, the BAP Ana works better on Coliseo than it would have on Kings Row or Ilios. So if they're going to run this somewhat off meta support line, that is a lot more healing, and Ana's even more aggressive, I would say, in that lineup. You're looking for more antis. You're looking for more sleeps. It could work.
There's part of me, Salty, that thinks the first one of these teams to bring out Brig, Ana, wins. Because it's been tiny Overwatch the entire time. It has been two Mei walls the entire time. You put a Brig in there, and all of a sudden the damage has gone up in troves. There's the AoE healing, there's the Inspire, there's the proc, there's the rally to keep your tank up and running and ensure them with new confidence to keep swinging. I think if one of these teams chooses to bring out a Brig, that can absolutely tip the scales in that team's favor. But we're going to go ahead and, I believe, throw it to a super short break here. We're going to let the teams take a break. That was extra round, so we're going to give them time to be prepared for map number 3. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Push is BG's best map type, so let's see how they look on the other side of this break. What is going on with you goblins, gamers, and gooferinos? Welcome back to Overwatch here at the EGFC. I'm Sepulent, that's Twin Salty, and this is BGSU versus RIT, going into our third and perhaps final map, Coliseo. But as I kind of hinted at the beginning of the break, and I'll say it again here, every time we've seen BG, even if they've lost a push map, it has been close.
Exactly. I will say they've made a swap that neither of us were really expecting. They sub out Crazy Chicken for Wubs. So my guess is that they're going for something very specific here on this map, because it seemed like Crazy Chicken was at least pretty lenient on what they wanted to run.
Maybe it's that Widow you referenced?
That's, I think, my beginning of my thought, unless Crazy Chicken isn't comfortable on like an Ashe if they want to go that route. That is my only real guess here, because it is a very weird swap to take out somebody who was playing extremely well. He was one of the main reasons why they were able to stay in King's Row for as long as they did. But maybe they have something planned that they've been kind of cooking up in scrims, and they want to give it a go here against RIT.
Yeah, there's part of me that's kind of like swapping out the #1 player we were both complimenting, discussing play around that player because they are obviously tearing it up. To swap them out does not instill me with hope. That makes me a little nervous for BGSU, but they've got a plan, and we don't know what that is. We're going to find out what it is. Wubs could be coming in on, like we mentioned, maybe it's a Widow specialist. Maybe they're bringing in some projectiles that they weren't feeling comfortable on with the current DPS line they have. There's a lot of hypotheticals, and there's only one way to find out what it is. But just as a reminder, this is map number 3. This is only a first 2-3 series, so if BG wants to see maps 4 or 5, they've got to win map number 3 right now, which is Coliseo.
I want to see what they want to run here, because it is something that we've seen at times, a lot of hit scan, like we talked about before the break.
Sure.
We've seen more and more, though, of like double flex on this map for whatever reason. We've seen, you know, Reaper May come out at times. We've seen the Genji come out as well, and the Tracer. So I want to see what they're actually thinking here. Is there a certain play? So far, they're starting Wubs, though, on the Cassidy, so maybe it's just Crazy Chicken is not a push player. That could be, you know, could be the case.
back in as well.
Also, yeah, subs back in. Which, okay, so they're wanting to do almost like the circuit strat here.
Almost identical.
Sigma, yeah, BAP Zen. I could see this working. Their only issue is they have to avoid getting ran over by RIT. They're going to be playing pressing S a lot.
I think a big problem here is they have to win the first fight. They need to get to the bridge stage of this map, and that's where a composition like BG's is going to shine. When a Sigma and Hanzo can play a high ground, when they can kind of take an advantage over their opponents. But in a raw, close quarters combat fight like this map dictates the very first fight be, this could be a disaster. Like you said, this Reinhardt can roll through them. They've got the Mei on line to separate the team as well, and bumping into this far cubby. Nightmare's going to get a lot of free ult charge, actually. They all kind of bunker down, and with a lot of spammage on the side of BG, they might get the first D-limb off of pure luck alone. Yeah,
the arrow's just getting sent in, trying to force something out, but now the rush comes in.
Now, Laudeless on the Zenyatta, going to be keeping that Discord on Minky probably 100% of the time. Reinhardt, very difficult to play against a Zen because Zen is annoying when you're playing any tank. That Discord Orb, a very strong ability. I think one of the strongest solo non-ultimate abilities in the game, if you give it credit where credit is due. Minky down, Laudeless traded out in that same breath, and as Karma is not far behind, even though they lost their tank. Oh my goodness, never mind! I was going to say RIT should have the numbers, but you've got to wonder what goes wrong there. Some phenomenal headshots from BGSU, keeps the dream up and running. Foliage it's just foliage! Every single other person died!
Foliage is the one and only conqueror left on the field.
Somebody called Jeff Probst. We found our sole survivor.
We found the sole survivor,
Foliage,
everybody.
the Mei player. That's absurd that the Mei just primary fires her way through that and wins the fight.
And they're able to live, too, and now they can sit on this flank. They'll be able to get healed up, and now they almost have Blizzard online.
Blizzard Online is going to be huge for a fight like this, unless you don't need it when your teammate finds a headshot elimination onto that Hanzo. You removed a lot of long-distance damage. That's going to enable Minky to get pretty up close and personal. Baits out Accretion. Frost has been traded out for Wubs. Oh, that melee, such a devious thing. Skullmo, though, is going to be able to find a 2-piece, and nobody takes out Minky. The achieved number, the ideal number in a primary fight win, Salty, I think we can agree, is somewhere between 60 and 70. Less than that, not great. More than that, phenomenal. But you want to at least hit that 60 marker before you lose possession of the bot for the first time.
Especially if you can land tick here.
Exactly.
It seems like they should be able to. Wubs is the only one that's even remotely close. And they are actually able to touch, and Flash gets one as well.
Flash gets one. The Dragons make a lot of space there with the Lucio offline. The beat didn't come out to save them. Scobo gone. All the support's missing. I requested 60 to 70. They give us the exact middleman. 65.02 meters for Rochester in Ult Apocalypse on their side. BGSU sitting on 4 ults of their own. Going into this fight, Salty BG, they've turned the tide. What ults are we looking at to make sure they can keep it?
I think early window, they've wanted to run the window with the Deadeye in the past. Curious if they want to try and do that again here just to break Minky's shield.
Breaking the shield could be the name of the game. Deadeye has been devious at helping a team take down this shield early. Ultimate fire from Nautilus trying to box out that high ground. Shatter finds 4! Oh, Nautilus is the only one not hit. The largest ult I think we've seen today. Still not enough to keep them all up and standing. Minky will get traded, but currently it's a 2-for-1 trade. Scratch that 3-for-1 trade. And RIT, even without their tank, are feeling confident to take these numbers. I don't think they ever lost forward spawn, Salty. That is huge. Did they?
I don't... No, they never
did.
got it.
They did.
They never got it. Because, yep, there we go. They never got it the first time around, so...
Not bad.
Now they will be able to get it. No, I don't blame it. It was eerily close. It was like, what, 1.5 meter difference from them actually getting it and not? So now RIT, if they could win this next fight, they set themselves up very pretty here. On this
if they win this next fight, map might be over. I mean, just honestly speaking, if they win this fight, they've got so many ultimates. Scomo falls early, though. The Storm's Eye is gone, and Foliage brings out the Blizzard. Unfortunately, the timing just was not there. The Blizzard is huge. Foliage is dropping a 3-piece. Echo finally puts down this Mischievous May and gives Bowling Green a really good chance at maybe winning this next fight. Unfortunately, BG threw a lot out with the kitchen sink there, and they've got very little to work with.
They don't honestly have a lot. Karma does swap over to the Kiriko now.
I like
trying to go for the more short-term immortality. I like it. A little more flexibility as well to try and peel for somebody if they are soloed out by RIT, but they can't get that bot to reset spawns, and they just have to try and delay for time.
The natural cover here just goes absolutely insane. Poor Wubs cannot do a darned thing as the architecture is there to keep them up and running. Into the back line, Frost desperate to get out of the fray. Wow, and Wubs hungry for that elim. Smart enough to not leave the team, though, and that's what matters. 5v5, incredible Sonic Dart. You get a lot of intel. The Dragons should be good, or at least make a lot of space for your team. Bap gets zoned out, and oh, sorry, that's May. Gets zoned out, and oh no, it was Scomo. I was right the first time. Baptiste offline, the May wall up, trying to help the team recontest, and it looks like they're going to lose forward spawn.
Yep,
there it is. Forward spawn lost, and okay, Minky has fallen. This is huge for BG because now Minky and also Scomo spawned way back at the beginning of the map with the Storm's Eye joining them. BGSU have really turned the tide in this engagement.
They need to win this next fight, though.
Yes.
If they want to at least get this series a little bit closer, and that could be the start. Able to land the nice little nade there on the Frost, but he's able to sneak away, at least for now. They do have bridge control, aiming to land this Flux. As long as they can try and land it before Storm's Eye get the summer, it looks like they will.
High noon online. Echo is able to find Scomo. Nightmare will get traded out as Frost rules the high ground in that moment. Nautilus finds a little bit of some portal combat. Wubs goes down. Karma finds Foliage. It is a 3-for-3 trade right now. Very few members standing on both sides. Nautilus down. Echo with the high ground. Poor Minky can't do anything about it. Maybe drops the Shatter, but no, isn't going to be one to take that risk. The Storm's Eye, last member standing, desperate to stall for as long as possible. Could take down Karma. It is able to do so. That is a huge elimination. Echo can't find it either. It's a 2v1. So portal combat at its finest from the Storm's Eye. Has the beat online and now has plenty of room to speed these team members back. RIT coming in with a full 5 in this next fight.
They're too smooth with it, Sap.
Truly.
I don't know what to say. They're truly too smooth with it. And now bot over to the other side. Bowling Green starting to get to the spot where if you lose too many more of these fights, it might be game over.
Minky has that Shatter online. Suzu comes out. Kitsune, I'm surprised to see it, honestly. Karma gives her life to throw it, and it's still not going to be enough to help this team find what they need. Wubs goes in deep to the back line, gets the mini. Not going to live long enough to heal from it, though. Echo a 2-piece from that back line. You really got to keep an eye on this Hanzo, because by golly, you give that guy some space and he runs with it. Every fight we've seen be close is simply because Echo was left alive a little too long. Scomo, a 2-piece of their own. RIT wins that fight. They're looking to hit triple digits here on this engagement, but with only 3 of them left standing, this is going to be their hardest fight so far.
In Frost and Foliage, neither of them got close spawn. Both of them got far, so RIT going to play a little conservative here, trying to wait for their DPS to get back into the first.
Oh, well... Now I think you just say, all right, we tried, let's get out of here. And I don't even know if Scomo's going to make it out. Nightmare bips the left shift, though, and has to stay with the team to get the bot. Frost playing a ride or die kind of hero play, but doesn't go in deep enough. Oh, I love what RIT's doing. They're running it down mid. They're going to recontest BG way earlier than I think BG is expecting due to the fact that Lucio died and can make it back way faster than any other character in the game. No spawn lost for the side of RIT. They've got to win this one, Salty. And as Storm's Eye goes down again, this team's got to do something. Tiny Overwatch comes back into fruition at its finest, and as that left ship comes out, there goes Nautilus. Nobody left. Nightmare pinned to the ground, sent back to spawn. Wubs took out Frost, but at the cost of their entire team. In that moment, Wubs the last man standing. All for bragging rights. This is a stagger and a half here.
The target prioritization for
hello?
RIT is indecent, and well, they at least able to pick up one. But again, it's Storm's Eye, so they'll be able to get back into the fight very quickly. That time around, again, Lodulus and Karma, the first two taken out. It seems like almost every other fight, one of them is at least the first stab.
These four supports just cannot stay alive, and as Skomo goes down, Mickey eliminated as well. The Shadow from Nightmare might be the largest we've seen. We saw a 4 Shadow earlier, and that time they get just enough. Poor Foliage stalling it out. We're down to 100 seconds. Rochester has almost a double lead here over what BG has been able to bring to the table, about 40 meters. BG, they've got plenty of ults coming up. RIT currently working with very little. They've got to win this one high and dry.
I think you need to. I think you can use Deadeye in this one. You speed Deadeye.
I would.
With Lodulus now on the Lucio instead of that Zen, you can speed them on in. Try and save Blizzard to capture that checkpoint.
Keeping an eye on the checkpoint. Frost has gone down. No Deadeye in sight. The Blizzard from Echo creates a lot of space. Foliage missing. Wubs really starting to get warmed up in the final moments of this fight. BG looking phenomenal to try and tie things up here on the numbers and at least force a map number 4. RIT didn't play much. We saw only one ult from BG. They're coming in with 3 more. RIT might be in an ultimate deficit until it's too late. They might have to give Coliseo up unless we get a miracle run.
Tick should at least be given up. They should be able to fight over here near that corner of bridge. Both teams just fighting for position fully. It's again, they'll take it out. Wubs feeling it now.
Come on, Wubs! What is going on, my man? A double? No, my goodness, a triple maybe. Frost falls at the hands of Karma. And I think BG might have just given themselves a guarantee into Circuit Royale. Mickey finds a left shift onto Karma, but they're going to give their life for it. It's up close and personal. Storm's Eye walks right into Wubs, and this is a disaster over and over. Only 30 meters left. RIT finally have the ultimates they need. They've got to win this one in overtime. We're seeing Circuit for the first time today.
They have the time to recontest this, though. Wubs now isolated, has the Deadeye. Wall tries to go down and get him out.
Oh no! Wubs bullied off the high ground. This is incredible. The Cassidy completely removed from the equation. Foliage drops a Blizzard. Nobody can make it out, but the beat from Nautilus keeps the team up and running just long enough. High noon from Wubs took some Storm's Eye out. Nightmare, an incredible shatter, but not one strong enough to keep his team up and running. Poor Karma, last member of the team left standing, and unfortunately, I think we're looking at another delay of the inevitable. High noon to guarantee that victory. Wubs is down, the shatter to guarantee it, and while BG brought it close only going to count in hand, horse, and shoe grenades. That is RIT with a 3-0 victory once again.
As you said, BGSU always plays push close, but just not able to finish it off this time around. You wonder if the isolation there is what cost it. This is the very end, because Blizzard is used, able to freeze up, I think, 3 members. And yes, you're able to pick up 1 with that Deadeye, but Wubs just getting isolated. It's such a big resource, even just to deny space, that because he is on the opposite side of high ground, RIT realized it immediately and just push him off. It's like, no, we don't need to feed for this pick. We just create a 4v5 for ourselves for free, basically, and you just move on in. They have the ult advantage from there because the Deadeye not in the equation, and it just all crumbles around BGSU.
Of the 4 final fights, BG wins 3 of them. They just lose the fight that matters the most. They made a pretty decent
comeback, all things considered.
It was very impressive. In each fight, we saw Foliage get picked first right at the beginning, and I was like, they're not going to get that Blizzard. They're not going to get that Blizzard. Blizzard is the win condition. They're not going to get that Blizzard. And by the skin of their teeth, they finally get it out. The team wins off the back of it, and RIT, 2 weeks in a row, drop a 3-0 victory. This team feeling good in the current meta. We're going to go ahead, throw it to a break, try to pull an interview in here, and we'll be right back in just a couple of minutes. We're going to get to talk to Frost. This will be a good one. What is going on, everybody? And just one more welcome back here at the EGFC. I'm Septilins, Twin Salty. We're joined by the dastardly Cassidy themselves, Frost from Rochester. So, Frost, a very simple question to start things off. 2 3-0 victories, 2 weeks in a row. Super strong start from the program here as the meta has shifted. Do you think that has a lot to do with this current meta, or do you think you guys are just really on an upswing right now?
I think we're definitely on an upswing for sure. I also think we're playing pretty well in this current meta. It's kind of the like Rhine rush, a little bit of the ball. I think we play it both really well. I especially like our rush. I think our comms have gotten a lot better recently. We're a lot more coordinated, so we are really playing to that rush really well. It's really nice.
Yeah, this is a different RIT than we saw in fall. It feels like at times where you guys just feel like you're on top of the world, and now 7-5 on the season. You're creeping higher up in the standings. How are you guys feeling about yourselves now compared to a lot of the teams around you?
We're feeling pretty good. We know there's still a lot of like scary teams out there, but I think we're kind of moving up. I think we're a pretty middle ground team before, and I think we're definitely elevating just a little bit. We've gotten a lot better since fall. We've also had some player shifts. Then even in the past like couple of weeks, we're getting a lot better, really fast. So I feel really good about where we are right now.
I would agree with that. And now, as you said, your schedule gets a little tougher these next 2 weeks. You play William and Mary next week, and then Delaware. So are you guys looking at this to where we definitely have a shot if we just play our style of game, or do you have a certain strategy in mind, especially for next week?
I mean, my mentality is just to go into every game as if we can win. I try not to get intimidated by stronger opponents for the most part. I do think we can, at the very least, put up a very good fight against these next 2 teams. If not, take an unexpected victory in one of them. I'm really hopeful for our results, and I think we can do real well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So I'm actually going to throw in a bit of a bonus question here, because we talked about it a bit in the green room, and I'm a little curious on your thoughts on it. So Cassidy, a character that was popular, wasn't popular, was popular, and kind of is stuck in this infinite spiral. There's a lot of very strong hit scan characters in the game. What right now is pulling your team, and more so you, towards playing Cassidy over other hit scan characters?
Cass plays really well with the Rhine rush. He's really good with Lucio. The current state of his Magnade, that ability is completely broken.
Yep.
It just auto wins a duel. If I manage to get anywhere near support, they explode. Cass is just a really consistent pick in terms of damage output. If you look at the scoreboard in any of the games, the Cassidy players are always at the top with the damage, always have way more. He puts a lot of damage into Rhine, he puts a lot of precise damage into the supports and the DPS. He's just a really consistent pick overall, especially in those mid-range battles, especially since that little bit of a range buff that they gave him recently. Just a really good character overall, just kind of edging over Sojourn just a little bit in the current meta, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hey, one more question for you, and we'll let you hit the road. Anybody you'd like to give a thank you or a shout out to while you're here with us?
I would like to shout out Jeffy, the GOAT.
Shout out Jeffy the GOAT. Perfect. Frost,
Jeffy.
huge congrats on the victory, and best of luck going into these next 2 weeks.
Thank you.
And with that, folks, this part always sucks, but tonight does come to a close. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to all 4 teams for coming out. Thank you, our producer in the back line, Blizz, for making it work. I think main stream is still live right now. If you guys want to go check that out, official EGF, you can go hang out with them. But that's all from us. We love each and every one of you. Check your posture, drink some water. Don't forget to love each other, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.